Good day, beautiful soul family, and welcome back to Miracles Beneath the Surface. And this video is, it's a deeper look. It's a piercing look. And this video is going to be called, the message is going to be called, Battle of the Royals. That's right. Battle of the Royals. Now, in this message, we're going to be, it's really about piercing into the Bible. It's about looking about how there are people that were chosen to be king, and they had other decisions. God would choose this person, such as Saul, to be king, but he didn't choose God, and that went downhill. And then we have David, whom was in training to be king. But the thing about it is he chose God. Okay? And so, in the Bible, it talks about righteous kings and So this is from the book of Yeshua, also pronounced Jasher. And I'm reading chapter 58, verses 6 to 13. And it reads, "And Joseph became king over Egypt, for he superintended over all Egypt, and all Egypt was under his care and under his counsel. For all Egypt inclined to Joseph after the death of Pharaoh, and they loved him exceedingly to reign over them. But there were some people among them who did not like him, saying, 'No stranger shall reign over us.' Still the whole government of Egypt devolved in those days on Joseph. After the death of Pharaoh, he being the regulator, doing as he liked throughout the land, without anyone interfering. And all Egypt was under the care of Joseph, and Joseph made war with all his surrounding enemies, and he subdued them, also all the land and all the Philistines to the borders of Canaan did Joseph subdue. And they were all under his power, and they gave a yearly tax to Joseph. And Pharaoh, king of Egypt, sat on his throne in his father's stead. But he was under the control and counsel of Joseph, as he was at first under the control of his father. Neither did reign but in the land of Egypt only, under the counsel of Joseph. But Joseph reigned over the whole country at that time, from Egypt to the great river Perath. And Joseph was successful in all his ways, and the Lord was with him. And the Lord gave Joseph additional wisdom and honor and glory and love toward him in the hearts of the Egyptians and throughout the land. And Joseph reigned over the whole country 40 years. And all the countries of the Philistines and Canaan and Zidon, and all the other side of Jordan brought presents to Joseph all his days, and the whole country was in the hand of Joseph, and they brought to him a yearly tribute as it was regulated. For Joseph had fought against all his surrounding enemies and subdued them. And the whole country was in the hand of Joseph. And Joseph sat securely on his throne in Egypt. And also all his brothers' sons of Jacob dwelt securely in the land all the days of Egypt. And they were fruitful and multiplied exceedingly in the land, and they served the Lord all their days, as their father Jacob had commanded them. I would also like to bring out that in Yashar, chapter 58, verse 30, and it reads, "And Joseph, king of Egypt, and his brothers, and all the children of Israel dwelt securely in Egypt in those days, together with all the children of Joseph and his brothers, having no hindrance or evil accident. And the land of Egypt was at that time at rest." I say again, at that time they were at rest from war in the days of Joseph and his brothers. Okay, so continue reading on. As I was doing my research in reference to the book of Yeshua, chapter 61 has much information. As I mentioned before, there was use of witchcraft. And here in chapter 61, let's read from verse 3, okay? And it says, "And Zebulun, the son of Jacob, died in that year." Now, sidebar, as brought out, they started to get worser and worser, even more wicked. You know, Satan was right in the detail, okay? But they couldn't do it as Joseph was alive and his brothers were alive, because they were bringing forth rest, okay? And they were under the instruction of God the Almighty. Now, this is about the time when Esau and the sons of Esau were coming against the sons of Jacob. Now, what's so interesting is that there was peace. You know, this is a time frame when Jacob was wrestling with the man, and he would not let the man go, that's what it states, until he was blessed. Okay? This is when his hip went out of socket. All right? And so as there was the meeting, there was friendship between Jacob, which is now called Israel, and Esau. But let's continue to read, okay? So here it says in verse 3 of chapter 6. Okay, so here in chapter 1, verses 3 of the book of Yeshua, and it reads, "And Zebulun, the son of Jacob, died in that year." That is the 72nd year of the going down of the Israelites to Egypt. "And Zebulun died 114 years old, and was put into a coffin and given into the hands of his children." Verse 4, "And in the 75th year died his brother Simeon. He was 120 years old at his death, and he was also put in a coffin and given to the hands of his children. And Zephro, the son of Eliphaz, the son of Esau, captain of the host, to Anges, king of Dinhabah, was daily enticing Anges to prepare for battle to fight with the sons of Jacob in Egypt. And Anges was, and I apologize if that's not the correct spelling or pronunciation, was unwilling to do this thing, for his servants had related to him all the might of the sons of Jacob, what they had done to them in their battle with the children of Esau. And Zephro was in those days daily enticing Anges to fight with the sons of Jacob in those days. And after some time, Anges listened to the words of Zephro and consented to him to fight with the sons of Jacob in Egypt. And Anges got all his people in order, a people numerous as the sand, which is as of the seashore. And he formed his resolution to go to Egypt to battle. And among the servants of Anges was a 15-year-old, Balaam, the son of Beor was his name. And the youth was very wise and understood the art of witchcraft. And Anges and Balaam, conjure for us, I pray you, with the witchcraft that we may know who will prevail in this battle to which we are now proceeding. And Balaam ordered that they should bring him wax, and he made thereof the likeness of chariots and horsemen, representing the army of Agnes and the army of Egypt, and he put them in the cunningly prepared waters that he had for that purpose. And he took in his hand the boughs of myrtle trees, and he exercised his cunning, and he joined them over the water. And there appeared to him in the water the resembling images of the host of Anges, fallen before the resembling images of the Egyptians and the sons of Jacob. And Balaam told this thing to Anges, and Anges despaired and did not arm himself to go down to Egypt to battle, and he remained in his city. And when Zepho, the son of Eliphaz, saw that Anges despaired of going forth to battle with the Egyptians, Zepho fled with Anges from Africa, and he went and came to Chittim. Now it continues to read on, and I encourage you to look and do your research. Now the thing about it is, beautiful soul family, is that there was witchcraft taking place. There was witchcraft always taking place on the Israelites, okay? And as mentioned, there is nothing new under the sun. They could not. They were fearful of the Israelites, and so they would find different ways and means of overcoming them and seeing the outcome. You know, and so this is just to further show how there was witchcraft taking place, and I'm sorry for all the ums. There was witchcraft taking place, and also it shows how there was the enticement of the Israelites turning their back on to God. Here in chapter 63, let's go to 63 verse 1, and it says, "And in the 93rd year died Levi, the son of Jacob, in Egypt. And Levi was 137 years old when he died, and they put him to a coffin, and he was given into the hands of his children. And it came to pass after the death of Levi, when all Egypt." So upon reading Yasher in chapters 61 to 63, it shows a shift. It shows that steadily, as there was the death of Joseph and his brothers, there was an increase of hatred. Now, what is so interesting is that there was rest. There was rest in the land. There was an agreement from the Egyptian Pharaoh before he died. He made Joseph king over all of Egypt, and it was an agreement. Okay? There was rest. And as Joseph passed away, and slowly but surely his brothers passed away, it seems like in the beginning, the Egyptians, they wanted to have a palace, and they wanted to have all these different things. And it seems like steadily Satan was working beneath the surface in these ways. As the brothers of Joseph passed away, it showed the Egyptians that took over, they showed more hatred to the Israelites. So after that, then they enslaved the Israelites. And the thing about it is that there was rest. And when wickedness came into rule, there was unrest. saw that the sons of Jacob, the brothers of Joseph, were dead, all the Egyptians began to afflict the children of Jacob and to embitter their lives from that day to the day of their going forth from Egypt. And they took from their hands all the vineyards and fields which Joseph had given to them, and all the elegant houses in which the people of Israel lived, and all the fat of the Egypt. The Egyptians took all from the sons of Jacob in those days. And the hand of all of Egypt became more grievous in those days against the children of Israel. And the Egyptians injured the Israelites until the children of Israel were worried of their lives on account of the Egyptians. And it came to pass in those days, in the 102nd year of Israel, going down to Egypt, the Pharaoh king of Egypt died. And Malon, his son, reigned in his stead, and all the mighty men of Egypt, and all that generation which knew Joseph and his brothers, died in those days. So there was an overturning, okay? Verse 5 of chapter 63 reads, "And another generation rose up in their stead, which had not known the sons of Jacob and all the good which they had done to them, and all their might in Egypt. Therefore all Egypt began from that day forth to embitter the lives of the sons of Jacob, and to afflict them with all manner and hard labor, because they had not known their ancestors who had delivered them in the days of that famine."